What's up, everybody? I'm Dave Miranda, and this is episode 111 of Just Give Me 5. I hope you guys are doing great. Continue to be amazing. We got a really awesome show lined up for you today. But first, I need you to hit that like button, I need you to hit that subscribe, and I need you to spread the word about Just Give Me 5. All right. If you guys caught episode 110, though, you saw we had none other than the legendary EZLP. And let me tell you, boy, man, that was just such an incredible episode because, you got a guy who's worked with two incredible legends who are no longer here, Big L and Biggie. And, just, man, like when he was telling the story about, how working with L and how he, knew him from the beginning, when Lord Finesse found him. And it's like, man, just to have that time, man, to see a young L and me asking him how you think he thought he would be today. It's like, you just couldn't call it, man, because L was, kind of a wild card, but just such an incredible MC, man. And then working with Biggie, and it's like, God dang, he was on his way. Literally, he was gonna be at the session at Quad Studios that Pac got hit up at, because they were working on the Junior Mafia album, and he obviously did get money for Biggie. So, man, that guy just has so many stories, man. Lived a life. Seen so much, man. And shout out to my brother, Little Sean, for getting him on our platform. We had a really, really good time, man. So make sure you guys watch episode 110. All right. But today's guest is a pioneer in the Arizona media field and the industry, period. We're going to talk about his early beginnings in film and how he was a body double for Damon Wayans in the movie Mo Money, along with an incredible Snoop and Dr. Dre story. We're also going to talk about his time being a meteorologist, some incredible memories, as well as his AZ Daily Mix show that he hosts, and so much more. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you Brad Perry.
Brad Perry here, host of the Arizona Daily Mix, and all I'm saying is, just give me 5. This is very interesting. I am dyslexic, so as a kid, I really couldn't write what I was thinking, and I would flunk tests and everything, but I was great at memorizing and watching television, what I loved doing. So I really got into entertainment through pretty much my dyslexic, and started doing comedy and started playing in plays and doing stuff, and that's how it all started right there as a little kid. So what I didn't realize, I was probably like 8 or 9 doing the school plays, and then I moved into high school, and that's when I really started to notice that I was dyslexic because, taking tests and stuff, but on stage I was great, memorizing scripts and doing the different improvs, and then it just moved on to where I started doing a little bit in college. But I gotta go back a little bit too, because I also played ice hockey. Yes, this black guy played ice hockey. What? Oh yeah. So I played ice hockey up until pretty much my sophomore year of college. And then I was drafted to go pro, and just a lot happened, and I decided I want to do entertainment. So what happens in hockey, kind of like with baseball, you go and play for minor teams, junior A's and major A's, and that's where you're kind of like already on those teams. So I was playing major A hockey in Canada and in Michigan, and I was going to Holy Cross Junior College at Notre Dame. And then I started taking full classes at Notre Dame, but because they didn't really have a hockey program at the time, it was easier for me to go off, play junior A back and forth and major A. And so that's what started to happen. And then I pretty much went to Chicago to visit my brother for a little weekend, and landed my first job in the movies. So my first job in the business was actually doubling Damon Wayans. So I was just standing in double on his movie Mo Money. So yeah.
That was when Stacey Dash was like everything.
Stacey Dash, that's when Marlon Wayans and I are the same age, and it's kind of fun because we grew up both doing this movie and stuff. And now we're really good friends. We talk, so I could say like I'm kind of like a Wayans in a way, which is pretty fun. But that was a blast. You talking about learning from the best at that time. You had In Living Color. You had, music, everything right there at our hands. It was a blast. Yeah. everything was going on. So it was fun. What was really cool is that I actually got to listen to all that before they put out. They brought it in and we were listening. And I was like, I like that one. I don't like that one. Helped write a little bit of the movie script on Mo Money, what was fun. And then yeah, so I wrote some lines. I'm not really allowed to say. I wrote a few little lines here for them. We were giving them. All right, I'll give one. Okay, here we go. All right, the one is where he's at the, of course, let me think what it is. Oh, he gets fired from the job that he was doing at the credit card place. Then they go back and he gets on the computer and he's trying to get in. And I gave him the line going, oh man, they changed my code. Because I told them, like, when you get fired, they change your code and stuff. Because at first he was just going to get into it. And I was like, you can't, because they change your code when they fire you. And so I got that little part in there. And then I got shot. So when he's there in the salt mine running and gets shot, that's me. So yeah, ran from the cops. So it's good. So I'll go back. Production assistant, okay, and that's where, you know, you're working on different things as just a little peon. So I was production assistant, but I got to learn from the best. Ron Smith, who was a major production manager in the business, kind of like brought me under his wing. And I have to give the best example, and people listen to this. This is how you know that you are loved by your bosses. And I know it sounds kind of bad, but I was there as a young PA and I was photocopying scripts. Back then you had to put scripts on paper, photocopy, so I had a pile here and you had to put them together. Okay. And I'm on my desk. Also, there's things you have to do, like for those that don't know, it's called faxing. You take a piece of paper, you put it in this machine, you press some numbers, and it sends it off to another place. That's faxing for those who don't know. No. 101. 101. So I didn't know how to fax. I was like this young kid, didn't know how to fax, and I've been faxing all morning the budget for the movie back to LA. So we were in Chicago. Okay. And so all of a sudden it's around 3:30 in the afternoon and Ron comes into me, flips over my desk, all the papers go over, sits there and just yells at me like there's no tomorrow going, what is wrong with you? Where's the budget? I told you over and over to fax this budget, the budget's not there. I'm like, I've done it. He goes, come on. So we go to the fax machine all day long. I've been faxing the budget upside down. So they've been getting blank pages in LA. Yeah. And so Ron sat there and just ripped me apart on every word you could think of. I was called, everything you think about. And people are like, nowadays you can't say that. Like, that was like 101 back then. Yeah, absolutely. And so Ron literally sat me down afterwards. I cleaned everything up and stuff, got there, and it was the end of the day. And this was only my second day on the job. And he calls me into the office and he says, here, and it was like $40. And back then I was like, oh, this is like my pay for the 2 days, I'm all done. Right. He goes, listen, you got potential. You're gonna be somebody in this business. I just see it already. But you gotta ask. You gotta ask if you don't understand something, just don't go do it. And he goes, number two, I wouldn't have yelled at you if I didn't care about you and believe in you. So be ready for a lot of people yelling at you when you do something wrong. It means they care about you and they know that you have the potential of doing it good. Here goes $40, go have a great dinner. I'll see you back here tomorrow. So that was my baptism into the media business. And from that day on, it was great of working hard, doing things. I have assisted amazing producers, the Mancusos, who at the one time ran MGM Studios. But my biggest memory is being with Sidney Poitier. I did To Serve and Love 2, I was a production assistant, took Sidney, his script to him, to his hotel. I get there and they're like, okay, bring it up to him. I'm like, oh, I thought I was just leaving it at the desk. Got up to go up to his room, knocked on the door, he opens it, I go, Mr. Poitier, I have the script for you, here you are. And he goes, no, please call me Sidney. I'm like, okay. We talked for a little bit. That was it. I thought I was done because I was an office PA and there's a set PA. So I was in the office and all of a sudden, the second day of getting, well, no, it was the first day of shooting, second day of everybody being there. Yeah. They call the office and go, they want Brad on set. I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong? Yeah. And they go, no, Sidney wants you with him on set each day. And I would go sit with Sidney each day, and I wasn't his assistant. I was just working as another PA on the set, but when it's downtime, he'd call me over and sit and talk with me. And that was another baptism into this media business. And then fast forward, I started taking classes at Second City, knew Chris Farley very well, would go to mass with him. What? Tim, yeah,
Wow.
Tim Meadows, a very good friend of mine. Steve Carell, knew very well. It was great mentors and stuff. It was great. And then went off to do, of course, television and got into WGN as a around town guy in Chicago.
Chi-town, yep.
Yeah. And then that brought me to Phoenix, which was a great story. And that is where, as my job here in Phoenix went, my agent at the time said, hey, what do you know about the weather? And I'm like, I have no idea, nothing about the weather. I'm in Chicago. I don't know.
It's cold.
It's cold. I don't know weather. They're like, okay, so what do you know about Arizona? I go, I guess it's, I don't know, I heard it's a desert, it's hot out there. Well, there's a weatherman job. Do you want it? I'm like, I want to be on TV. Let's go. So this was in December, suckered me out here from Chicago. I got on the, actually the L in Chicago after standing next to a bum for 20 minutes waiting for the train. We both were pushing the heat light, staying comfortable. I gave him $1 because he needed some whiskey or something. I was like, bring it back to me, I need it. Anyways, I got out here and it was beautiful 70 degrees, you know, like one of those nice 70 days. I says, I can't wait. I gotta be here. This is where I'm gonna be. This is gonna make my career. This is awesome. It was incredible. 70 degrees in December. I signed that deal. I'm all set and everything. And then March comes. I don't know what I was thinking. It turned like 95 like that. I was like, what in the world y'all sucking me into? No, none at all. And of course, being the weatherman, you only need to know 3 things here. What is it? Hot, hot, and hotter. That's all you need. That's it.
But it didn't scare you off, man. You
No.
know, you've been here ever since. You know?
Yeah, it hasn't. So I've been very lucky. The great people I get to meet, you know, and my partner in crime, Gibby, who is still, you know, gosh, we're going on 25 years as friendship, and a savior to me. But that's what this business is all about, is meeting those great connections and just taking the road and just having fun. And the people you meet is just amazing. All right, here goes a Chris Farley story, which is amazing. Chris Farley was a dedicated Catholic. So let me just say again. So Chris Farley was a dedicated Catholic, and he would go to Mass. And I'm still in Catholic, but I would go to Mass too in Chicago. We would go. And one day, Chris is there, and I hate to say this was actually 2 days before he passed away. And so we're in Mass, and he's disheveled. Whenever he came back to Chicago, he was disheveled. He was, you know, Chris was a party or whatever. And Chris literally pulls out of his pocket like wads of cash, like just cold-hearted cash, and gives to Father and says, hey, Father, please make sure the guys eat. I'm going into rehab. I'm going to be doing this movie. You know, I really want to be good and everything. Can I get some blessings? And Father's bumbling with this money, like full-fledged, just rolled up cash and everything. It was great. It was great. But that was, yeah, totally. And the Father, and he's like, okay, some blessings. And that's the last time I saw Chris, and it was 2 days, and then 2 days later he passed away. But one of the funny things was he was just a generous guy. Like, that's the whole thing about it. He would just be this big-hearted guy. But that's my best memory of Chris right there, of him just taking that money out, wads of it, and giving it to Father right in church, and just like, okay, Chris. And so, but we did. I mean, Tim Meadows was there as a mentor. Another story, if people didn't know, but Mike Myers, knew Mike Myers just a little bit before he ran off to Saturday Night Live. He actually lived at Second City because he didn't have a green card. So he lived in the back alley and and so it was great. So, but there's a lot of memories. I mean, Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, spent a good evening with him cooking when he was doing Curly Sue. Wow. Let's see, as production assistant back in Chicago, I know we're talking Chris Farley, but just movies in general. I had to fill Madonna's trailer full of Evian water back when she was doing A League of Their Own. Tell you some stories there, I guess, but I guess I'm done with the NDA, right? I don't, like, you right? Yeah. It's been enough time for that. Yeah. So yeah, anyways, had to fill her trailer full of Evian water back in the day, and that's when it was just like bottles. Yeah. So like we had a big old, like, little flat thing that came and dropped it off, and we're pouring bottles into her RV, her trailer, and then she never went in there. So never used it, and they had to flush it back out, and the next day we had to pour more in there. So crazy. Amazing. So yeah.
I love it, man. I love it.
All right, three memorable moments from my journeys. I'll start with one, and that is Prince. I got to hang with the guy himself. But let me back up a little bit to when I was in Chicago working on Mo Money. we were going to a Warner Brothers event. And it's so funny is that I lived in Old Town in Chicago, so on Wells Street, and it's right before Cabrini Green, which was a big high-rise kind of place there. So one day I'm coming from the studio office to go home, and I'm cutting through this Cabrini Green, which really wasn't safe for anybody to do. And I look over and I see this big white guy, huge old white guy, and I see a bunch of people playing basketball. And I'm looking over, I'm going, that looks like Prince's bodyguard. And so I walk over more, and it was, and Prince is hooping it up in Cabrini Green. Little Prince was hooping up in Cabrini. It was great. Right. It was a great story. So now fast forward, I'm over in Vegas at Tiger Jam, and Prince performed there. Yeah. And we're in the VIP area, and I'm sitting there, and Prince comes in. And I'm sitting there, and I see him, and Prince, you have to remember, is very shorter than me. I'm pretty tall. And so I'm looking at him, and Prince, just in his little voice, goes, can you sit down, please? I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. He goes, no. You're straining my neck, and I don't want to strain my neck. I want to talk to you. I was like, oh, okay. So I sat down, and I told him the story about him playing basketball at Cabrini Green. He goes, yeah, that was a good time. But we got connected that way. And so that was one of my most memorable moments, to sit with Prince. But he told me to sit down, but I thought he was telling me to leave. So that's that's one of them. Let's see. The other one, I think most memorable in the business, or I think I have to say is probably being at a baseball game with Halle Berry. And so, yeah, with Halle Berry. Oh, okay, so Halle Berry at the time, she was married to David Justice, who played for the Braves. And we were in Chicago shooting Losing Isaiah. And they were coming to town. And so Halle there, and got a kiss every morning from Halle, thank you very much, on my cheek. Because I handed her sides every day. Got a kiss on the cheek, thank you, Halle. So anyways, we go to the baseball game. That she takes some of the immediate crew people with her. And I brought my daughter, because I haven't seen her for the weekend. I had my daughter with me, because we film all week, and my wife at the time was there. And so I grabbed my daughter, and we went to the game. And I have this awesome picture of Halle holding my daughter, picture of her, and then she signs it and says, you won't remember this day, but I remember the day that I fell in love with you. And that was like one of my memorable minutes in the business, and my daughter has that picture. Fast forward, my daughter now is an actress on HBO Max, South Side, and Halle kind of like recognized her from way back. So, that's incredible. All right, and so let's see, and then the third one, let me think. What would be the most memorable one? Would probably, that I'm allowed to talk about. I guess the most memorable one is actually Snoop Dogg, pretty much getting my back, watching my back for me. So when I was working on music videos in LA, and we were doing deep cover with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, that was Snoop's first, video. And so they had all their gang guys out there, all their groups and everything like that. And so what happens is, in the business, film business, the crew eats first. So that way they can eat and get back on set and get things ready to go. Everybody's second. Well, Snoop's crew decided they wanted to jump in front of our crew people, our film crew people. And I stepped in and says, hey guys, no, you got to back off. And I'm talking to, of course, real gangbangers. These are gangbangers. These are guys, Yeah, and they all looked at me like, who are you? What's going on? And I thought for sure, and I saw someone like go to the waist, And I'm like, I'm sorry, you guys got to back off. And so they're like, wow. And they go to Snoop, and they start telling Snoop all this and stuff like that. And Snoop goes, well, he's in charge. He's the guy who's doing this. That's our money out there. Don't mess around with it. And I was like, what? Wow. And so fast forward, Snoop's out here for the Super Bowl, first time out. I see him. He sees me. He goes, Brad. Comes and gives me a big hug. And I hadn't seen him for like years and stuff. He remembered me. So that was one of the most memorable times. So with him, and then we did some other things, but I don't want to bring that up or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's legal now. Arizona Daily Mix is a weekly live, how do we say, lifestyle show, a pay-for-play lifestyle show, where we get to entertain and inform, or inform and entertain. the community, from restaurants to charities to small businesses to large businesses, and I host it, which is one of my dreams to do, is host a show, which is really fun. So we go from 9 a.m. to 10, live every day on AZTV 7, and I just have a blast. You know, what happens when the owner gives you the keys to their Ferrari, you drive it. And so I've been doing it now for 4 years as a host, and the sky's the limit. So what we work with a lot of small businesses that are trying to go, and even major businesses. We have local entertainers, we have local chefs, cooks, and a lot of them actually have gone national too, which is really nice. You know, we get to be able to have that independent station and not worried about having the big bosses or anything. And we're one of the only independent stations left in Arizona, with Mom, as we say. Lynn London is right there, her office. So I love it. And that's where I've always been, as independent stations. So it's great. We get to do what we want to do and not worry. It is sometimes hard to accept how great this job is, and how much I've touched the community. And I just want to tell one story that shows how much I know I'm loved and know that people enjoy me. And that is, one day, this lady came to my crew at the time and wanted to see me. And they always joke with me, oh, Brad. But this lady was there, and she had this letter. And she comes to me and she says, hey, listen, I've been waiting for this moment for 2 years, to sit with you and rip up this letter. And I was like, okay, what's going on? She goes, 2 years ago, I was sitting at my kitchen table and I was writing my suicide goodbye note. Wow. You came on TV and you did that crazy dance, and I started laughing. And I laughed and laughed and cried and laughed. And I never sent this letter, as you can see. And I've been wanting to do that to you, give it to you so we can rip it up together to show that you made a difference in my life to make me want to go on. And I think that's what we all look for in this business. And I think that's when you say about being loved. It's not about being on a pedestal, it's about what you leave behind, or even what you're doing for people now. And I think the best thing I can do is leave everybody with a smile. Well, I'm Brad Perry, and that was my 5.
And there you have it. Man, shout out to my man Brad. That's somebody I can see myself hanging out with daily, and there would never be a dull moment. The guy is absolutely hilarious. Just, great energy, man. A lot of stories, definitely a lot of stories. And man, just thank you so much for being a part of our platform, my brother. I wish you nothing but the best and nothing less. Make sure you guys are following him on social media. And shout out to my brother Jimmy Nelson on the camera. Make sure you guys subscribe to that YouTube channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. And if you look behind me, you know what time it is. Super Bowl 2023 has made its way to Arizona. It is pure madness out here. A lot of good times, a lot of festivities. It's going to be a blast, man. It's going to be an absolute blast. Well, this was definitely one for the books. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, though. Until next time, stay tuned, stay blessed, stay healthy, and just give me 5, y'all.
Everything you get, you got